Good evening and welcome to the Packard Network. This is Minutes with Brett Live. And tonight I have a very special show that I'd like to speak with all of you about. And that is something that I'll get into in just a moment. But before I dive into that subject, next week I have a very special guest from Mumbai joining us in India. And I very much look forward to that, and we'll announce that as usual, the logistics of that on Tuesday of this week. Have you ever looked in the mirror and said to yourself, I wish I were further along in my life? Well, what I'm going to speak about tonight will be especially relevant to that, because I'll introduce a concept that I've used my entire adult life. And the concept is simple, and you can use it in your life to actually help define where you want to be 5, 10, 20 years from now. Speaking of which, do you know where you'll be in 5 to 10 years? Have you really asked yourself that question? It's an important one because you'll be somewhere, and the question is, will you be where you are today, or will you be somewhere you actually design? And I think that it's very important to start by thinking about this in your own mind, where you'll be. Okay, so I'd like to tell you a little story about how this concept came to me and how I applied it to completely change my life from a low point. In the mid 1980s, I had completed 2 years of junior college, and I was ready to be an engineer because I had read about how much money an engineer can actually make. And at that point in my very young life, I was so determined to just make all the money that I could by being an engineer. So I set off my parents' support to a much larger university, and packed up, drove up there, moved into the dormitory, and I was getting settled in. And I remember, just like it was yesterday, I went to my first class on a Monday, and it didn't feel right. So I went to the second class the same day, and it felt even worse. The food tasted terrible. I didn't like the dorm room. I didn't like the colors of the wall. Nothing felt right. And for the first time in my life, I was actually away from home because I'd lived with my family my entire life. So I did this for a couple more days, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And what I decided to do was quit, because it was too much for me. I couldn't deal with it. So I packed up. It lasted less than 2 weeks, that entire experience. Wasted some money, and I moved back home. And I was really a lost person at that point in time. Didn't know what to do. And I wrestled with this 1, 2, maybe 3 months, something along those lines, not knowing where I was going to go in my life. And one night, I remember waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, and the light bulb had gone on in my head, and I realized the mistake that I had made. I had failed to ask myself why I wanted to be an engineer. And so I'd not convinced myself that I wanted to be an engineer. So I actually got into that environment and I had no motivation. And that was my failure. So I decided at that point, I've got to do something, realizing where I went wrong. And so I bought books and I started reading about concepts and different tools that I could put together to formulate a game plan, because I was still a lost person. And through these studies, I learned the importance of the concept I'm going to communicate with you this evening. And that concept is one that anybody can apply for anything. And so if you fast forward my story several decades, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the finest people and live in some of the finest places in the world. That was the low point of my life. And by understanding and applying the concept I'm about to communicate with you, it completely changed me, and I went nowhere but up. And I was able to retire financially independent at age 52. So how did this happen? How did I get out of the rock bottom situation? This is what I'm going to share with you now. There's 4 questions to this concept, and I really hope that you'll start asking yourself these questions this evening. Question number 1 is why? Why learn? Why study? Why make yourself better? Why work? Why do you want to make a living? Why do you want to live in a particular place? Why do you want to have certain things that you want to have? Learn from my failure and ask yourself why. It's very important, because if you understand the why, the how is a piece of cake. It's so easy. And once I understood this concept, it changed everything for me. And whenever I run into some choppy times, I go back to this very first question and ask myself, why? And I find that the how is really easy. But if you don't have a good reason why, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be a rough life, difficult times ahead. Just like I had when I was a very young adult, where I couldn't make it and I had to quit university, give up my dream. But it really wasn't a dream that I believed, because I never asked myself why. So the first question is why. The second question is why not? Why not learn all you can? Why not do something new? Why not move to a new place in your state, in a different country, halfway around the world? Why not? Why not change professions? Why not change your situation if you're not comfortable with your boss? Why not? Question 2, very important. The third question is, why not me? And that's really what helped turn me around in the story that I told you when I was quite young. Why not me? Why is our careers and university degrees reserved for other people? Why not me? So why not you? Why is somebody successful in your town and you're not? Or why are you successful in your town and other people are not? So ask yourself, why not me? It'll make a huge difference. This conversation with yourself becomes very important. The final question is, why not now? In order to make a dream come alive, it requires action. Otherwise, you're a couch potato dreaming all the time. Why not now? Very important question. If you can answer that question, it will spur you to take action. Why not now? So four questions. Why? Ask yourself why. Why not? Why not you? And why not now? This simple concept will focus you and help give your life more of a purpose and point you in the direction that you want to go. And remember, the big benefit of this is the how becomes easy when you have a powerful reason for doing it. So apply these 4 questions, engage with your family if you want to. If you want to do it privately, but do it. That's very important. So apply this concept, do it quickly, and you'll see immediate change. Let me know if you have questions. You can email me directly at aminutewithbrett@gmail.com if you have questions. But it's a simple framework. Why not you, and why not now? I hope this concept is useful. It's incredibly powerful. It completely brought me off of the rock bottom, fortunately, at a very young age. And I was able to excel quickly in my life and my career. And I'm now in a position to take good care of my family. And you can do the same thing regardless of your age. So I hope you find this useful. It's great to be with you live on the Packard Network. And I'll see you again next week with my special guest from Mumbai. And I'll announce that on Tuesday. Thanks very much and have a terrific day ahead.